My name is Cindy Folefoke. I'm the news editor for The Mercury, and I'm here with Michael Lewellen. He's the head of Blockchain and Cryptographic Systems, a new UTD club that teaches students about blockchain and cryptocurrencies and the growing field around those things. So, Michael, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So what exactly is Bitcoin? Can you explain that a little bit for our viewers?
Bitcoin, the exact definition is it's a digital cash system. So much in the same way that I can transact with you in person with cash, and there's no way for me to reverse that transaction. Bitcoin is in the same way, where if I send Bitcoin to you online, there's no way for me to reverse that transaction, and I can control the Bitcoin that I own myself. Just like I hold cash, and there's the only way for someone else to get that cash is to take it, or for me to give it to them. The same thing goes for Bitcoin. There's no central entity like a bank or a government that could take my Bitcoin from me, only me.
How are other currencies such as Ethereum and Litecoin competing against Bitcoin? What sets them apart?
What Litecoin is, they're essentially just a little bit faster and they're a little bit more tweaked. So there's another way, and all the other ways are very similar to Bitcoin, but for Ethereum, what Ethereum introduced is they introduced the idea of smart contracts, and you have this blockchain that keeps track of everyone's Bitcoin, but it only does that. That's all it keeps track of. With Ethereum, I can actually program it to keep track of whatever I want. Like I could keep track of something as simple as how many people showed up to an event for my club. I could keep track of votes in an election. I can keep track of funds that go through the government. One thing Canada's doing right now is they're actually keeping track of research grants that they approve for universities, and they're putting every single grant on the blockchain at the time that they approve it, and so you can actually go to one of their websites and see that on the chain. And so it's a way to kind of like, I can trust that that research grant was really approved by them because I can see it on the blockchain in real time.
There's money to be made in Bitcoin mining, but how exactly does that work?
So what Bitcoin mining does, it's like, so in order to keep the blockchain upgraded, we need to, every 10 minutes, take all the transactions that someone just sent, and we need to add them to the chain. But we don't want just anyone to do that, because if anyone can do that, they might try to sneak in bad transactions. And so what mining does is it requires the computer to guess a really large number, and the bigger the computer and the more powerful, the easier it is to guess that number. And so what miners do is they try to guess that number every 10 minutes. Whichever one wins, they get to mine the new block, and they get to add new transactions to the ledger. And so for doing that, they are both rewarded with transaction fees that were paid over those 10 minutes, and they also get newly created Bitcoin that increases the supply slowly.
Can you explain more about blockchain technology and how it works and how it was originally connected with Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin was essentially the original use of blockchain. It was talked about beforehand, but Bitcoin was the first to really do it, especially in an open public sense. And what blockchain essentially does is I can keep track of, if you're an accountant and you know what double entry accounting is just, all right, I'm paying you, then you put in your books that you were paid, and I put in my books that I took money out of my account and gave it to you. Triple edge accounting is we have that entry on both of our books, and there's a third entry, and that's on a blockchain. Mm-hmm. And so really what a blockchain is, it's just a third party that can keep track of any transaction between us, whether that's money, whether that's data. That's just something that we want to have publicly out there that people can point to and say, yes, that actually occurred, and we can agree that that's true.
UTD has a history of pretty good computer hackers, like Rosselberg, who built the Silk Road. So how come no one has hacked into the blockchain? Why can't someone alter it?
Right now, it's simply strong cryptography. So essentially, it's like a very all transactions have a private key behind them. So if I want to send my Bitcoin to you, I need to sign it with my private key. My private key is the closest thing to owning Bitcoin that there is. So this private key controls, how I move my Bitcoin around. This private key is ridiculously long, it's 30 to 40 characters. And if I wanted to guess this key, I would have to have a computer running for decades in order to eventually get it right. And there's a risk in the future potentially with quantum computing guessing these numbers correctly. But for now, it's just too hard to guess. And so every individual user has that private key. As long as they keep it safe, their Bitcoins are safe.
Students can learn more about blockchain and the growing field through your club. So can you talk us through a little bit more about what exactly your club does and what plans you have for the future?
Yeah, our club right now is just, we're split into two kind of categories. We have speaking events during the week where anyone can come in. We have speakers talk about either mining or cool cryptocurrencies out there. What are the industry applications for it? And that's open to everyone. Specifically, business majors, but anyone that would be interested in blockchain. And then we also have Saturday workshops for programmers that want to learn how to actually program these smart contracts on Ethereum specifically, so that they can go out into the industry and show their stuff. And so our end goal for the semester is to have a hackathon in April, and for the same attendees of those workshops to come in, build a project in 24 hours, and then they can take that to a company and say, hey, I have experience in this stack, which very few people have experience in right now. So I think it's very valuable for students that want to get a job in the industry quickly.
Okay, great. So thank you for coming in, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.